So, is it afternoon? Yes, it is. Good afternoon. I hope everybody's still awake, coffeeed up just before the lunch. I'm delighted to be here. I'm honoured to be here. And we're having a vital conversation on the role the private sector plays in sustainability. And I have two experts here on two really important issues within this region, which is food and water. So I'm delighted to have with us here Omar Al-Shuhaibani, got it right, CEO, National Company for Agricultural Services, AgriServe. It aims to provide high quality and sustainable agricultural services to empower farmers, breeders and commercial enterprises in the agricultural sector. AgriServe is responsible for executing the services assigned by the Ministry of Environment, Water and Agriculture on sustainable commercial grounds. You're very welcome.
Thank you.
And I would like to welcome Arthur Valkiezer from the Netherlands, CEO and CTO of Hydraloop International. It's a company dedicated to inspiring businesses and consumers to save water and energy by offering smart and affordable in-property water recycling solutions and solutions that can save up to 25 to 45% of water, which is super, super important. So I'm really excited to get some insights from both of you. Food and water being the most important issues going forward, and the private sector. So Arthur, would you like to sort of talk to me about the influence and the role that the private sector will play here in sustainability?
Well, the role that private companies or organizations can play, most of the time they're smaller, so they're much more agile and they can respond to needs from society. Well, just taking water as an example, but the same is with food or with energy, of course. If there is a water challenge, that the availability of tap water is a challenge for society, then private sector responds with solutions. And these solutions are then brought to the market, and then of course, then it becomes crucial that cooperations and that governments cooperate with private sector to bring those solutions to the market.
Yeah. And Omar, I know that AgriServe is a new and developing company. And you probably find it now a really a big advantage now being a new company to integrate sustainability into the core of the business from the outset. So can you just give me any specific examples of that?
Thank you very much, and it is really an honor to be here to share the AgriServe experience in the sustainability in the agricultural sector. Absolutely, being a new and developing company gives us a great opportunity to integrate the sustainability into the core business strategy. And this approach will allow us to embed sustainable practices in every aspect of our operation. And this is better than adding them later on as an afterthought. Also giving our unique position as a company owned by government, we provide services on behalf of the Ministry of Environment, Water and Agriculture to the farmers, breeders and the private entities. This means the sustainability is integral to our mission. Actually, in fact, AgriServe was established by the government for the sake of sustainability of agricultural services.
Yeah, and then the water becomes a really important part of that. Arthur, can I ask you then, because leading on from the fact that this is government, but AgriServe is private sector within the government. What about businesses' collaboration with governments? Is that very important for your business?
Yes, because always regulation and incentives from the government, they run a little bit behind because they are not driven by innovation in itself. So it's important that governments help introducing new technologies into the market by bringing incentives. So, and there are many, many ways to have these incentives. There are many examples how other countries do this. So, for example, in Florida, they introduced a density bonus so that construction companies, real estate developers, are stimulated to implement in property water recycling devices. And the way it works in Florida is quite simple. They introduced a density bonus. And so if a in-property water recycling system to recycle tap water is integrated in the new building, the amount of homes that are allowed to be built and dwellings on that piece of land is 30% higher. So imagine, instead of building 100 homes, building 130 homes on the same plot of land, that has a value. And that is a perfect way to stimulate the implementation of water recycling devices in apartment buildings, in villas, in homes, in hotels, etc.
Yeah, and I'll just stay with you for a minute, Arthur, because I like statistics, and I'm keen to know from the region here, and then compared to say in Europe, have you got any statistics on the water usage? Because I think that's really important for people to realise the amount of water that is actually being consumed in the region.
Yes, yeah. Well, just I'm from the Netherlands in Europe, but in Europe in general, the average water consumption per person per day is 130 liters. So 130 liters per person a day. For example, here in the Kingdom, it's 260 liters. So it's double the amount of tap water. And the population is growing very fast here, so it is very hard to produce enough water. So the solution is to use the water twice. So instead of using all the water and use it once, and then it becomes wastewater, make a loop in every building so that you collect shower and condensation water and use that after treatment for toilet flushing, washing machine, and garden irrigation.
Yeah. So Omar, I'm sure, of course, those statistics on water don't shock you, but because you're probably aware of it. So how can then, within your organization, the role of technology, how can that play a role in using water-saving devices, in having smarter technologies that will, enable the farmers and the breeders and that to use less water within their services?
Yeah, of course. I mean, technology plays a significant role in helping AgriServe to achieve sustainability objectives, which include how to help the farmers to use the water wisely. So we leverage technology to improve the efficiency of our services as well as the services provided for the farmers.
Yeah, and you're responsible then for a lot of the certifications and audits from the farmers. You're also responsible for the markets, the fruit and vegetable markets within the whole region or within the whole country. So what are you doing on waste management? Because unfortunately there's always some waste. So is that an opportunity for your organization, for the sustainability aspect of waste management?
Yes, of course, but let me talk about the issuing the certificates and licenses, because AgriServe is responsible for ensuring our customers are complying with the laws and regulation to get their licenses and permissions. This enforcement role is closely tied to our commitment to sustainability. Because these regulations are designed to promote the responsible resource use and also protect the environment and support the long-term agricultural viability. When we talk about the food waste at the public market, I think incorporating the third sector like NGOs is very crucial. And AgriServe actively collaborate with these organizations to make sure that there is a redistribution for the surplus fruits and vegetables in the public market, and to ensure that the unsold products in the public markets get donated instead of discarded. This not only helps to reduce the waste, but also support the community.
No, that's excellent. And then in the research and development, because there are so many new technologies from startups within agri-tech as well, I'm presuming that there's a lot of them in the, because I have heard some great panels from yesterday as well on startups that are all bringing in, new agri-tech, and so you're looking into all of those as well in the R&D?
For the R&D, we deal with the local and international universities. So we aim to bring any good practice and new practice to be implemented by the farmers in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, and I saw yesterday morning all the nice prizes being given for some really inventive agri-tech. Getting back to you, I believe you have a nice win, Arthur, here with your water within the mosques.
Yes, the ESG award 2 weeks ago, and this one of the largest real estate events here, and so that's of course very important for innovative solutions to win awards, so they get a podium to be introduced. So we are very happy with that, yes.
Yeah.
And imagine, I think there is also a signal in there that water recycling devices win awards, because it's part of the solution.
Yeah, and it's obviously really, really important. I mean, we were talking earlier, that most, all the water in the region is from desalination. I do remember years and years ago, my father in Ireland wanting to import water into Saudi Arabia. He thought this was a good idea, but it's all coming from the desalination plants, which is an expensive way to transport water. It's a huge resource on energy as well. And you're certainly, Omar, in an industry that is using and needs the water. Do you adapt then to growing then crops and that are relevant to the region, rather than trying to grow, crops that are growing in Europe that actually don't work very well here? So do you adapt?
This always depends on the objectives and the strategy of the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Environment. Because AgriServe works as operational / technical arm for the ministry. So whenever there is a target for the ministry, it is usually implemented by AgriServe.
Yeah. And within, your organization is totally technology based.
Yes.
Do you see in the private sector, do you see at some stage that governments, private sectors, everybody needs to start working together, because we all have a common goal now for climate action, right?
Yes, but it's happening. It's happening. All the society, we have to do a transformation from linear to circular. So we have waste doesn't exist anymore. Waste is a source, and we have to use this source and recreate water, energy, etc. Every air conditioning system, and you have a lot here, every air conditioning system is producing water. Collect it. Now it flows away, it becomes wastewater. Collect it and make it part of the circular water system in a home. And imagine if every building, every home, every business, every hotel would collect their lightly contaminated grey water, treat it, and use it again, you can reduce the tap water consumption with 25 to 45%. So this is very important, and it's happening now. And to give an example, the Al Bawari Mosque, the Grand Mosque here, will have a Hyderloop system installed. So it is happening at this very moment in very many cities and areas worldwide.
So within the private sector, do you think that there are a lot of technologies that are there, sustainable technologies that are there, that are not getting highlighted enough? Or what are the challenges that you face to have these, to have all these technologies out in the open as such and everybody using them? Because, you know, you're telling me you can save 25 to 45% water, so that makes such commercial sense. So what are the challenges, do you think, that you face?
In general, the challenge is always to bring innovative solutions to the market. I always use the example of the great Dutch painter Vincent van Gogh. You know, he was a billionaire, but he never sold a painting. The only one who would buy his painting was his brother. And then when he died, only after he died, he became popular.
Yeah.
You know, so in general, what we need is events also like this, you know, so that innovators and companies and private sector can present their solutions to the governments so that they become aware of the solutions that can help solve them, the challenges of society in general, whether it's energy, food, or water.
Yeah. And supply chain, that's also procurement, that's also something that's really important for sustainability. How do you manage and educate on your supply chain? Because you must have so many different facets within AgriServe. So how do you manage your supply chain?
Yes, and but before that, I would like to comment on what Arthur said about using the grey water and treated water. Everybody knows about the green initiatives in Saudi Arabia, which target to grow hundreds of millions of trees.
Yeah.
And it is depending on the grey water, especially in Riyadh. So the majority of water supply came from the grey water. So there is a good utilization of the waste on this initiative.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think within governments, and I think it's to bring it into the private sector. Actually, I met yesterday a Saudi architect who was doing this within his own home. So I think that's it's educating then further downstream to get communities to start taking action on water, because it's our common responsibility of us all to you know, to not to be utilizing so much water.
Yes.
But just for the supply chain.
Yeah, and back to your question, I would like to link the supply chain with the food safety and food security. It became very crucial, especially, you know, after the pandemic and the shortage of supply. So in Saudi Arabia, there is a new authority for food security, and they are focusing on balancing between importing the food and growing the food in the kingdom. And the percentage of the self-sufficient especially in the vegetables and eggs and other products are increasing every year. So we are trying to balance between the import and the growing locally.
Yeah, and I suppose it's to catch up with what's happening with climate, right? Because maybe in 10 years' time, they expect it to be cooler here in the Middle East, so you'll be actually having different crops here probably than in Europe, so it's all quite difficult. Where do you see the private sector and its commitment to sustainability within the next 10 years? Although I don't even want to say 10 years, because I think it should be much sooner with what's happening. But how do you see the future?
Yeah, well, you know, if you want to look into the future, you also have to look to the past and see what happened 10 years ago, 50 years ago, with innovations that were developed then. Of course, now we have electric cars more and more on the road. Vertical takeoff airplanes will come very soon. You know, that we have flying taxis. But in the past, you know, we had the iPhone was introduced, and look what happens, you know, with everything. So it's important that innovations are brought to the market at the right time. It's not just a good idea or good product. No, the timing has to be right too. So this is important. But then more smart energy use, vertical farming, for example. You're very efficient with energy and very low water consumption. All these innovations will be brought to the market as soon as it is that the economical drivers to make it viable to introduce these products are in place, and that's timing.
So where do you see the future of, I mean, agriculture will change, I think, so much. It'll be in leaps and bounds with what's going to happen, right? Especially in regional, you know. So how do you see the future for sustainability? And
Well, I agree with Arthur. I think private sector should learn from the past, and the sustainability should be in the DNA of every company in the private sector.
yeah, for sure, definitely. And how about I mean, we're always looking for government. I mean, do you look for government for when you're looking for funding? Do you, or you know, do you try to look into the private sector for funding? How can we bridge these gaps?
Governments can play an important role there. And of course, I'm from the Kingdom of the Netherlands, and we have a very efficient government and system to promote innovation and innovative companies in the Netherlands. You know, we have the embassies worldwide supporting entrepreneurs like myself. So that's very important. But then, of course, it's also important that when we bring products to other markets, like we bring them now to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, you know, that we also cooperate with governments and ministries here too. And that's happening, and that's also very important.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I mean, as I said earlier, we have a common goal anyway, right? We're all working towards climate change and climate action.
And it's also good for the economy, because you know, you can produce, like we can produce our products here. We don't have to produce them in the Netherlands. No, we can build them here and serve the Middle East from Saudi with our products. So there is also, it's beneficial for everybody, for governments, for private sector, for the people living here, and in general for society.
Yeah, definitely. And Omar, for the, as I was trying to get back to the supply chain, for education for the supply chain, how are you doing that with the farmers and stuff? Because I think a lot of the farmers on the whole water issue and sustainability, they just wanting to produce their goods to sell to market. So how do you get to them on the whole sustainability issue on the educational programs?
Of course, and I would like to add to what you have said, the efficiency. I think farmers, to be sustainable, they have to be efficient. They have to grow the right products from economic point of view, and also they have to be very efficient and cost effective. And AgriServe is planning and aiming to play a role on this by the providing awareness services and awareness programs for the farmers in the near future.
Yeah, because you play a very important role, as in with food security, and involving everybody within sustainability is really important for its success. Are you optimistic for the future?
Yes. Well, I'm always optimistic, but I'm also optimistic about future. And just to give an interesting example, I was just mentioning before that the water consumption in the Netherlands at this moment is 130 liters per person a day, and in Saudi Arabia 260. But the Dutch government announced that we have to reduce our water consumption in the Netherlands. We have to go back from 130 liters to 100 liters per person a day in 10 years' time. 19 million people.
Wow, yeah.
So the government is just announcing it, and now we have to adapt. And of course, in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, you know, the 2030 program is comparable, you know. So the initiative for change has to come from the government, and then the private sector can come with solutions to fulfill it.
Yeah, I mean, I almost think now you know, Saudi Arabia is catching up way faster than the rest of Europe, because only in the last 10 years maybe is Europe trying to really do something. And now you're talking about 2030, where it'll be done. Which
Exactly,
is,
yeah.
So it's accelerating. Are you optimistic for the future of sustainability within the private sector as well?
Of course. I'm very optimistic, and we look forward for a great future on sustainability.
Yeah, excellent. I think when we want to, we talk about the private sector, we talk about government, we talk about NGOs, SMEs, entrepreneurs, but I think we just need to merge all our efforts together to push towards our one common goal, which is to secure our position as humanity on this planet for a long time to come. Thank you very much for being a great audience. Thank you to Omar and Arthur for sharing your insights on two really important aspects of the future. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.